All right, so in this follow along, I want to take a look at the GitHub CLI and see if we can do a few different things with it. What I'm going to do is switch over to my other account. This is just my play around account for GitHub. And we should already have a repo in here called GitHub examples. And what I want to do is I want to just do some things in the CLI. So I need some kind of environment to work in. And so what we'll do is launch up a code space. We do have this older one. I think what I'll do is make a new one. I don't think it really matters if we make an old or new one. That other one is stopped. So we'll open this one up and we'll see if the GitHub CLI is already pre-installed. It could be pre-installed on this because I would think that if I was GitHub, I would have it pre-installed so people could start using my product right away. But if it's not, we'll definitely go ahead and take a look at how to install it. We did install it manually locally in the Git crash course, the quick and dirty crash course. So if we don't have to show the install, I'd rather skip that, but we'll wait for this to spin up, okay? I have no idea why, but that took a little bit time to spin up. Our goal isn't to really make anything, just to play around with the CLI here. The code space is currently running in recovery mode due to a configuration error. I didn't do anything. I don't care. It's a new environment. Why should it be recovering? Is there something it can't do? Yeah, I'm not sure about this. So what I'm going to do, because I don't trust this workspace, is this one is running here. I don't know. We'll just see what we can do with it. But it didn't pick up my settings when I told it to save it earlier. So I don't know if it's because it's in recovery mode or not, but for the time being, I'm going to go ahead and change the theme so I'm not upset. There we go. That's a lot better. And I want to see if we have GH installed. So it's not installed, which is totally fine. So what I'm going to do is, if we had this installed, can we install it through here? Sometimes you can install stuff through plugins, right? And so I'm just curious if we could do that there. No. Okay, so that's fine. We'll go ahead and install this. And I definitely know that Brew is installed, or maybe it's not installed on this. Let's find out. It is installed on Gitpod, but I'm not sure about GitHub. It's not. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll look up the GitHub CLI and we'll go ahead and install it. We already did this before, but we'll do it again. And what we're looking for is those install instructions, and we want it for Linux. Okay, so we'll go over into here, into Linux, and we'll grab this one-line command. It looks like a lot, but it's really just doing this update and this install, like down here, but it has to add the repo so it knows where to install it from. But I'm gonna grab that big thing there, and we're gonna go ahead and paste that on in, say allow, and hit enter. And it failed. It failed. And I can't see what I'm doing, so I'm gonna bump up this font. I do not like GitHub code spaces. I'm so sorry. I really like Gitpod. And we're gonna go here and say terminal font. I'll try not to complain too much about it in the course, but I can't promise anything. I'm gonna copy that again, and we'll try this again, and hit enter. No such file or directory. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what you want. So there's this line here. Okay. Maybe because GPG isn't installed. Sometimes you don't have to do a GPG check, but we might have to with this. And failure to write destination. Okay, so if that's not working, maybe what we could do in an easier way is we could just add it to this file, this code spaces file. So we could just make a dev container, and maybe that would be less of an issue. So what I'll do is I want to add a dev container. We'll go up to here, dev container, like that. We actually already have one from before, and maybe we can just throw it in here. So I'll grab this. Maybe we do want to commit this. Maybe this is a good idea. And so I'll put this here. And I need a comma there. And so the idea here is that this should install the CLI into this environment. And maybe the reason why this thing messed up was because it wasn't specifying any base image. And that's why it got upset. Because when we did this in the tutorial earlier, it kind of complained. Or sorry, like when we spun this up, it complained. But we didn't specify a base image. So I'm going to look up what the base image is for dev container. The base image for GitHub is. And maybe that will help us. If that doesn't help, let's go ask ChatGPT. Log in. Let me in. Let me in. Come on. I pay for this. Let me in. What is the base image used for dev container for GitHub code spaces? Let's see if that can figure it out. It's probably just going to go to the documentation, but I don't remember where it is. So if you don't specify one, it will create in the default one. Okay, that's what I would rather it do. So I'm going to leave it alone. And what I want to do is rebuild this environment because we've added this change. Before we do, I need to commit this maybe. So I'll just say it should install the GitHub CLI. We'll go ahead and do that. And I'll say okay. So it should sync it up. Good. And so let's see if we can find the rebuild. So I'm clicking up here, rebuild. That's no good. We can open up the command palette this way. Command palette has all the commands for VS Code. And there should probably be something for code spaces. So if I type in code spaces, there's probably something here to rebuild. There it is, rebuild container. So I'm going to go ahead and rebuild that container. I'm going to go ahead and hit rebuild. And so I'm hoping that will install the CLI and that avoids us having to install GPG or whatever it wants because that's a headache and I don't want to deal with that. So see you back here when this finishes building, okay? All right, we're in. It says the code space is currently running in recovery mode due to a configuration error. Please review the creation logs, update your dev container as needed, or rebuild the container. So it clearly doesn't like something about my file. I'm not really sure because there's not a whole lot in it. So we have Command Control Shift P. Okay. Control Shift P. Hey, like learning's learning, right? And we want to view creation logs. Oh, that's just to open up the command palette. View creation log. And somewhere here it's messing up. Now, I don't understand how it could be messing up because we literally have next to nothing in it. Yeah, this is supposed to be an easy GitHub CLI tutorial. Failed to create the container. An error occurred. Unified containers error creating fail. Doesn't even tell us why. It's just like, nope, it doesn't work. Maybe it's up here. No matching entries and unable to find user dev container. Okay, maybe it's this. Okay, let's take this out. All right, and that's probably the reason why. Okay, so we'll save that. Okay, we'll have to update that. Don't change remote user. Okay, and we'll push to main, and I'm going to try to rebuild this again. I'll open up a command palette down here below just in case. And I want to say rebuild. I want to do like a full rebuild. Let's do a full rebuild. That's fine. Let's rebuild. And we'll get it going this next one. Okay, I'll see you back in a moment. Okay, so I think that resolved the issue. It took a while for that to rebuild, but what I want to see is if the CLI is in here. So I'm going to type in GH. And there it is. Okay, great. So that's the easy way to get in there as long as you don't make any mistakes in your dev container JSON or JS or JSON file. And so let's go ahead and see what kind of actions we can perform. So what I'll do is go over and type in GitHub CLI, and we'll take a look at the documentation and see, that's not what I want. I want the official documentation. So we can see what kind of commands we can get. Here it is. Okay, so here's all of our commands. And the question first is, are we logged in? Because that's something we might need to do. So let's go ahead and type in gh login. Oh, sorry, gh auth login to log into the CLI. And we have two options. We'll do github.com. It says the value of the GitHub token environment is being used for authentication to, okay. So it sounds like we already are authenticated because of GitHub code spaces, and it's loading some kind of temporary token in here. Something we could check here is to see if there actually is a token being set. So I'm going to type in env grep, and we'll type in gh. And I don't see anything there, but apparently it seems to think that it is ready to utilize. So maybe what we could do is list out repos. So I imagine if we go here, there's probably something like list. There is. And we could try to list our repos. So let's go ahead and try that. GH repo list. And we have a repo. That's actually a really nice display. What else could we take a look at here? So again, back over to the repo. We can list our repo. What if we go to view? What would that do? Let's take a look. GH repo view. And I was hoping that it would select the current one, but apparently it didn't. Well, we can do GH repo set default, and I gotta type it right. Maybe it'll let us choose the repo so we don't have to goof around. And so there it is. We can choose one, and apparently we have two: Exam Pro Co. and the Andrew W.C. Brown. Curious that it's showing forked ones, but this is the one I want because this is the account I'm in right now. And so let's go ahead and type in GH repo view. And so now we can see some stuff in here. Not a lot of information. It looks like it's kind of the information about maybe the description or stuff like that. So I was hoping to see a little bit more there, but that's okay. Let's go down here and see what else we can do. We could edit our repo. Like we could change features, turn things on or off. That's not that interesting. Something we might want to do is maybe we might want to maybe change our labels. Let's go ahead and try that out. So I'm going to go here and say GH labels list. Is it just label or labels? Label. Oh, cool. Yeah, and we can see our codes. Can we add a new one in here? We'll go to create. So GH label. So we try this one here. Copy it, paste it in. And there already is a bug, so we can't have two. So I'll go here and just say danger. Something really not right. We'll hit enter. And so it looks like we've created another label. Let's go ahead and hit up. Okay, so it looks really good there. Bug isn't working, good. If we wanted to create a new repo, sometimes what they'll do is they'll create like a wizard in here. So if I typed in GH create repo and I said GitHub, we'll just do this. I bet it will prompt us. Oh, I got to type it right. I seem to be typing everything wrong here today. Repo create. And so it'll ask us some things like create a repo from a template repository, make a new one. So I could do this. I could say GitHub repo, GitHub CLI example. And I'll just go hit enter here. I'll just make this one private. I could add a README file. We could add a gitignore. We could say what we want the gitignore to be. So maybe it's for C++. Yeah, let's add a license. We could choose Apache 2.0. We want to do this. We'll say yes. And it seems like it should have created, but we get a resource not accessible by integration for 403. So I'm not 100% sure as to why we're getting that. It could be a permissions issue because everything is based on that token, right? And so maybe we have a personal access token that allows us to read but not write. And we got a 403, right? So 403 error is for forbidden, meaning we don't have access to do it. So what I'm thinking is that we can probably create our own personal access token and try to get around that. So I'm going to go to settings here. I'm going to go all the way down to developer settings, and we're going to go into personal access tokens, fine-grained tokens, and we'll generate a new token. Again, I don't know if this will work, but I'm just going to try it. So we'll just say repo access. Right. Let us create a repo. And I'm going to set this for tomorrow because I don't need it forever. And if it's for all repos, then that's a challenge, right? But then how would you create a token? This is public repos. So here it says, this applies to current and future repos owned by this resource. All includes public repos read only. So the other question is it because we tried to make it a private repo? But then why would it have it as an option if we can do that? I mean, we could also authenticate via SSH. So I'm not sure. So I guess that's where I'm not 100% sure. So maybe we'll just say all repos here. And we'll go to repo permissions. And I'm looking specifically for repos. Contents, no. And carefully looking here to try to find that. Account permissions, maybe? It feels closer to this. Type in repo. Let's see here. So what does this one do? Interaction limits. Interaction limits on repos. I don't think it's that. And so I'm just carefully looking to figure out what functionality we would have to provide. Managing repository environments. It could be this. Read write. I would probably put this in just because that is the usual. Oh, repo creation. It's up here. So I don't think we need these other ones. I'm going to leave them on because they're not that big of a deal. And this one says it's mandatory. So sure, we'll have that in there. Got it added in there. I'm going to go ahead and generate this token. And so now we have this token. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to type in export GH token. And I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. And so the idea is that when we use the CLI, it should pick up this as opposed to what else is on here. So I'm typing env-grep because I want to make sure that this is actually set as our environment variable. If you have other tabs open here, it might not show up. So just stay on the current tab. We'll go ahead and try this again. Another reason why it might have not worked is because that name was already taken, but I don't think so because it's scoped based on our user. So we'll go ahead and try this again from scratch. So say GitHub CLI example. And then we'll say, we'll put nothing in there. We'll make it private. And it was interesting, there's a visibility of internal. I imagine that maybe that's for enterprises. We'll say yes, yes, and it doesn't matter. I'll just choose that one. We'll say yes. Doesn't matter. I'll choose that one, and we'll say yes. Let's see if it works now. Clone the repo locally. Yeah, sure, let's do that. And so now it's working. So whatever key, whatever personal access token that is somehow being loaded in there did not have the correct permissions. We were able to get around that. So I don't really want this repo, so I want to go ahead and delete it. Let's go take a look and see what actions we have there. We have delete. So I'm going to hope that it just will like give me a wizard so I don't have to pick it. So we'll say GH repo delete. And I don't want to delete our current one. So I'm going to hit Control C because that's totally not what I want. And we'll go back over to here and we'll take a look and see what we can see for the repo. I really wish they would list them up here. Maybe if we go to the getting started or available commands. Yeah, that's a little bit easier. It's not great, but we'll go to repo here and we'll go to delete. And we can put the repo name here. So we'll go back over to GitHub here. We'll go to our names. This is going to be Andrew W.C. Brown. And we should be able to see two repos in here. There's our other one. I'm going to grab that name. And we're going to go back over here and I'm going to say that. So do we want to delete it? So type the name again, sure. And we have to put in also the username in front of it. We'll hit enter. And that repo should be now deleted. We'll go back over to here. Okay. And it's deleted. So that is in good shape. So that's all good. So I'm really happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and stop this code space. I'm just going to delete it. And I'm going to delete the other one. I'm just going to make sure I keep everything nice and clean and not worry about overspend. And what I want to do is just merge this into my other account. Again, you don't have to do this. You can just watch me do this, but it's good to watch because this is something that people have to do a lot. And actually what I should have done is I should have gone over here and I should have done it from here first. So I'm going to go here and create a PR, create a new PR, and we'll say create is going in the direction we want. Yes, it is. We'll hit create. Fix dev container. We'll create that pull request. Good. We'll switch back over to our other account. And then I'm going to go into the same repo. I'm going to accept it, confirm it, and we are in good shape. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.